About a week ago, I was scrolling on Instagram minding my own business when I stumbled upon a clip from Emilia Perez.
Y la bola de mis disque amigos dice: ¿Cuándo te vas a casar, a tener hijos? No tengo tiempo para hacerlos. Y la bola de víboras me dice: ¿Cuándo vas a abrir tu despacho, bonita? ¿Quién sabe? Cuando ya no...
At first, I thought, okay, whatever, another musical. Not my thing, I wasn't planning on watching it, but then I kept seeing more posts, more outrage, more memes. The overwhelming amount of hatred for this movie was too much to ignore. So against my better judgment, I decided to watch it. And after sitting through the entire thing, I had one question. How? How in God's name does this have 13 Oscar nominations? So I went on a journey to get to the bottom of the truth. How did Emilia Perez, a movie that critics were lukewarm on, audiences hated, and the internet has been mercilessly laughing at, end up being one of the most celebrated movies of the year?
To listen is to accept.
Now, unfortunately, for this video, we have to look at the plot, but I'll keep this brief because the plot is not why this movie got nominated. Rita Mora Castro, a struggling lawyer in Mexico City, takes on a mysterious high-paying job, only to discover her client is Manitas, a feared cartel boss who wants to fake his death, transition, and start a new life as Emilia Perez. After undergoing surgery and sending her wife and kids to Switzerland for safety, Emilia disappears, only to re-emerge 4 years later wanting to reunite with her children, without telling them who she really is. Meanwhile, Emilia atones for her past by starting a non-profit to help families find cartel victims. But when Jessie, her now ex-wife, moves on with a new partner, Emilia snaps. What follows is manipulation, kidnapping, ransom demands, severed fingers, and a tragic over-the-top ending where everyone dies in a car crash. And somehow, this is also a musical. Except, calling it a musical is generous. So overall, it's a weird movie, but weird movies can be good. This one, just not so much. Now, since the debut of this, I can't even call it a movie, Emilia Perez has been at the center of several controversies. It managed to upset Mexican audiences, the trans community, and general moviegoers all at the same time. Now, that's a rare achievement. Joking. It happens way too often nowadays. But that's another time and for another video. Now let's start with the biggest issue. This is supposed to be a movie about Mexican culture, Mexican cartel violence, and Mexican people. But you know where it was filmed? France. You know who directed it? A French guy. And not that that's a bad thing. You know who wrote it? French people. And you know how much research they did? 0 to none. Now, to be fair, Jacques Audiard did visit Mexico a few times during pre-production. But did he actually take the time to study the culture, consult Mexican experts, or portray the country with accuracy? Nope. This is an actual quote by him.
¿Qué tanto tuviste que estudiar México para poder hacer esta película?
No lo estudié tanto.
What? That's like if I decided to make a movie about NASA saying, I've watched Interstellar, I get the gist.
And today I'm the age you were when you left.
And if that wasn't bad enough, let's talk about the casting choices. The script originally called for Mexican actors in the lead roles, but instead they cast Zoe Saldana, who is of Dominican and Puerto Rican heritage but born in the United States, Selena Gomez, who is of Mexican heritage but born in the United States, and then Carla Sofia Gascon, who is Spanish and not Mexican at all. Out of all of Mexico, they couldn't find a single lead, and here's the best part. They actually tried to defend this. Casting director Carla Houle explained this by saying,
what was that process like? What was the conversation like with Jacques Audiard about finding the right Jessie, finding the right Rita, and finding the right Emilia?
Yeah. Well, it was tricky because Jessie, Rita, and Emilia, they were all Mexican characters. So we did a big search. We were open, and we did a big search in Mexico and in the U.S. and in Spain and all Latin America. And then we wanted to keep it really authentic. But at the end of the day, the best actors who embodied these characters are the ones that are right here, right? So
you're telling me that in an entire country of actors, you couldn't find a single Mexican performer to play a Mexican character. Got it. Mexican critics weren't impressed. Rodrigo Prieto, the Oscar-nominated cinematographer of Killers of the Flower Moon, called the film completely inauthentic. He pointed out that even small details like a prison sign reading jail instead of penitentiary showed that no one who actually knew Mexico was involved in making this film. Mexican audiences were so unimpressed that they made a parody short film called Joanne Sacre Bleu, mocking how Emilia Perez was made without any Mexican people, and guess what? The parody actually got more views than Emilia Perez in Mexico.
La France nécessaire. Maçon de place, mais welcome la baguette, le croissant, others. Become the person spécialiste biber ici. Après de mer, nous somos français.
But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, on paper, having a trans actress play a trans character is historic. That is a big deal. And Carla Sofia Gascon Best Actress nomination is groundbreaking. But that doesn't mean the representation is good. The movie frames transitioning as a redemption arc, as if changing genders magically erases past crimes. GLAAD, the biggest LGBTQ+ media organization, refused to nominate Emilia Perez for their awards because of its retrograde portrayal of a trans woman. Now, this is a problem because instead of portraying trans identity with depth, the film uses it as a gimmick.
I'd like to know about sex change operation.
I see. Men to woman, or woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina.
Emilia's transformation is treated more like an elaborate disguise than an authentic journey, giving the whole thing, as Forbes described it best, an uncomfortably similar feel to Miss Doubtfire, even if it's not played for laughs. Now, if everything I just mentioned wasn't enough to keep Emilia Perez out of the Oscar race, here we are, scratching our heads over its 13 nominations. Now, the Academy has a history of gravitating towards films that appear progressive, woke, even when the execution is questionable at best. A foreign language musical about a trans woman escaping cartel violence? That's instant awards bait. It sounds like the kind of film that should be recognized for its daring storytelling. Except, as we covered earlier, the actual execution is messy, shallow, and offensive to the very groups it claims to uplift. But as much as the Academy loves pretending it's all about the art, let's not kid ourselves, okay? Because behind every awful progressive movie that somehow makes it to the top, there's money. Now, you don't just get 13 Oscar nominations by an accident. You don't even get nominations for Best Picture unless someone really wants you to win. And in this case, that someone is Netflix. Netflix acquired Emilia Perez for $12 million, and then reportedly spent at least double that on its Oscar campaign. The company pushed this movie hard, banking on its ability to tick every possible box for voters. It's a foreign language film, it's a musical, it features a trans lead, it's about social justice. Basically, this was Netflix's golden ticket to a Best Picture win. It's not about whether the movie is actually good, it's about who has the loudest, most expensive campaign. And that brings us to the last reason this happened, the Academy's long-standing guilt complex. Ever since #OscarsSoWhite exploded in 2015, the Academy has been playing catch-up. They've made an effort to diversify their membership and highlight more international and underrepresented stories. And that is a beautiful thing when it's done right. But sometimes this leads to them blindly celebrating movies that aren't actually doing what they think they are. And that's Emilia Perez in a nutshell. A film that looks woke, progressive, modern, but completely fumbles the execution. But that didn't stop it from becoming the most nominated foreign language film in Oscars history, because in the Academy's mind, it's a foreign language film, must be authentic. It has a trans lead, must be empowering. It's about a cartel boss finding redemption, must be deep. And just like that, Emilia Perez got 13 nominations despite being rejected by both the communities it was made for. So what have we learned? The Oscars will nominate anything if it looks woke. Emilia Perez isn't a critically beloved masterpiece. It isn't a cultural phenomenon. It will be forgotten in the blink of an eye. It's a movie nobody liked, made by people who didn't care to get it right, and pushed to the top by a fat Netflix check. Oscars, do better or don't. At this point, no one cares.
Changing the body changes society. Changing society changes the soul. Changing the soul changes society. Changing society changes it all.
I want to thank everyone who took the time of day to watch or listen to this video. If you agree or disagree with me, please let me know in the comments down below. And now remember, the important thing is to always keep questioning, even me. Till next time.